Well, good evening and welcome to the Gold Goats and Guns Hour here on YouTube, and eventually it will be up on Odysee. I'm sorry I'm a couple minutes late, guys. I was actually pre-getting the Odysee stream hooked up and ready to go beforehand. So watching that to confirm now, so that will be on here for about 20 minutes or so, and then we'll pop on over to Odysee and we'll finish off the evening over there. So just to let you know, you can follow me. My name's Tom Luongo. It's the Pearl Harbor Day 2021. We got a lot to talk about when it comes to what happened at the Biden-Putin summit today. I think we all have a better idea of what's going on. I'm going to pop open a couple of things just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. And yeah, that's kind of funny. So, all right. And it's all good. So, as always, if you haven't been to Fight Club before, well, you have to, stay through and follow me over to my Odysee channel. The link for that will be in the chat as we go forward. So let's get the link. Let's put it in the chat. This won't be live quite yet, but it will be out. But it should be up and ready for us when we're done here in about 20 minutes. You can follow me on Twitter at TFL1728. You can follow my work at my blog over tomluongo.me. And you can sign up for my Patreon and follow my work there and be a part of the Gold Goats and Guns community over on Patreon at Patreon/Gold Goats and Guns. And, you can shit on Patreon or not, but they've treated me really well, so I really can't complain. So, all right, lock that spoils attack position. Red 5 is here, so Parallax is in the house. So there we go. All right. Bottle Wild Turkey 101. Okay, now, Greg Rockenberger, you tell me that you just got a brand new bottle of Wild Turkey. So, so you shit on my choice of cigars, dude, and you drink Wild fucking Turkey? Damn, dude. Like, serious fucking, paint thinner there. But that link for the Odysee stream won't be... Is it live now? It looks like it's good. So, it will be good, and yeah, it's been confirmed and ready to go on Odysee, so there you go. All right. Silver medal and whiskey magazine, sucker. Yeah, all right, whatever. God, that stuff's bad. With Biden's popularity tanking, I think his administration will be willing to start war with Russia. I'll see you in World War III. Actually, no. I don't think so. I think we're going to save most of this discussion about what I think is going on for the Odysee stream. But the Biden-Putin summit was today. They chatted for about 2 hours, apparently. They chatted about a variety of things. No, dudes, if you're going to drink, Eagle Rare isn't bad. Again, a lot of bourbons are just too sweet for my taste. So I prefer to go Rye if I can, and we'll just leave it at that. So, like, I just don't really think you're a whiskey drinker if you're not drinking rye at this point. It's that simple, but that's just me. Everybody goes back and forth. So that summit or phone call or whatever, and they're going to have multiple calls after this. But I think the dead giveaway has everything to do with Nord Stream 2, again, which we're going to talk about in a couple minutes. I'm just going to fill time here for about 15, 20 minutes to remind everybody we're going to go over to Odysee in a little bit. But the reality is I think most of this operation in Ukraine is pretty much over. So the bigger question now is, given what Al Vaccaro said earlier about Biden's approval ratings and the fact that President Manchin now has his vice president in place, Kyrsten Sinema, I don't see how any more of the Davos agenda gets through Congress during the next year of Biden's term in office. Much of what I've been saying for months now is coming to pass. It all looks like it's going to happen about the way I've expected it. So let's talk about that real quick. So what have I been saying about Europe for the last 6 months or so, which is that since the day after Rand Paul went after Dr. Fauci on the Senate floor for lying to Congress, and the next day the media turned right around and started validating the COVID lab leak theory, and effectively started talking down the idea that Fauci knows what the fuck he's talking about. They were ready to throw him under the bus. And I've been saying that Davos is trying to foment a war between the United States and China. Well, I do believe that this also, that's still on the table. But in order to do that, knowing full well that the United States, with a power vacuum at the top of the power structure, with Biden effectively being a placeholder president, while Obama is actually running things behind the scene, has empowered a bunch of the worst people and within the confines of the American government, mostly the neoconservatives, and these are neoconservatives who are not loyal really to the United States, but they're loyal to both the British Crown and Israel, and trying to push that agenda forward to keep us from repositioning our assets in Europe back towards away from and pulling out of Europe and realigning all of the American foreign policy around containing China and the new AUKUS alliance, right? Which has everybody in a tizzy, which has all of Europe in a tizzy, because Europe was still expecting us to pay for their defense in perpetuity while they, become a more perfect Soviet Union. So, but the key to making all of this work is that there's no war actually on the ground in Europe. But at the same time, the U.S. has to extricate itself while saving face and still looking strong over the quagmires that they've allowed themselves to be a part of. And then the biggest one here is Ukraine. And knowing full well that Joe Biden is as dirty in Ukraine as anybody, and knowing full well that we have people who absolutely refuse to allow the U.S. to, pull out of Ukraine without encouraging Ukraine to do something dumb. Because, hey, if we can get the Russians to make a diplomatic mistake, we can make the Russians make a political and militaristic mistake, well, all the better. That just brings a new Iron Curtain down from across Eastern Europe, from Warsaw to Kiev to Istanbul. But I don't know that that's actually, what's going to happen here. So, systematically, for years now, the Davos agenda through the State Department and the DoD and the CIA and whatnot, and MI6 and Europe, has been to box the United States in politically with regards to relations with Russia, to keep degrading them to the point where they're almost non-existent. Right? That's where we've been. And we'll continue to be in that mode going forward. Nothing that happened today is going to change that. But ultimately, we have to realize that Davos doesn't get what they want if there are deep economic ties between the Russians and Europe, right? So they've done everything imaginable to try and poison the well of relations between Europe and Russia. The Germans are caught in the middle because they want and need the energy to be able to keep what little industrial dynamism is left in Europe, alive, while they destroy the economy and try and build it back better. They've left the Germans at the mercy of the Greens. And they need Nord Stream 2. And Nord Stream 2 really is the key to all of this. So once we move over to Odysee, I'll explain. Dr. Detroit, you're correct, says that the Russians he follows say that the Russians don't want any part of Ukraine because it's a black hole. Yeah, the Saker's been making this point for quite a long time now, and he's quite right. The Russians don't want to take over Ukraine, but they will if they have to. So, it is what it is. So now Ukraine is a black hole. It's, what we have here is a typical British operation to destroy, to leave behind a British style operation, to leave behind as we pull out of this region of the world. And we start the process of depreciating NATO. We're going to leave and, send and our Central Asian strategy and the rest of it. We'll leave behind minefields and poison pills and, shitholes for the Russians and the Chinese to have to clean up. That's ultimately the goal. There's really no other viable strategy for the United States because no one wants a war, because a war between the United States and Russia goes nuclear very quickly. So that's the key to understanding all this. So with that said, we've been treated to this kind of ridiculous narrative that the Russians are getting ready to invade Ukraine for the last 2 months, and or 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever. It's been building for a couple months now. It's all bullshit. The Russians have not been massing to invade Ukraine any more than if anyone has been massing armies to invade anyone, it's been Ukraine wanting to do so over the Donbass. So with that said, what we're going to see is whether or not Ukraine makes a really terrible mistake. Because they're, on the one hand, they're being goaded into action to do something about the Donbass, while at the same time, the Americans are not committing, any troops or support any beyond, well, here, we'll sell you some weapons that you can't afford to pay for. We'll create we'll give you all this stuff as gratis if you just, keep chirping at the Russians. And, that works for what it's worth, but it's not a long-term strategy. And Zelensky is now in a very difficult position. They've introduced a bill within the Verkhovna Rada to effectively end the Minsk agreements. If that bill were to pass through the Rada and effectively end Ukraine's participation in the Normandy format and in the Minsk agreements, then that will ultimately lift the legal issues surrounding the Donbass, asking for to become part of, and accession into Russia, which is possible. And this Putin doesn't want to do this because he knows that how much this will piss off the Europeans and the Americans. But at this point, the Donbass is gone. And their coal reserves are gone, and their coal is all going east to China and not going west to Germany. So yeah, yeah, Brett, you're kind of giving away. Brett Harris is in the house. He's kind of giving away the script. I'm kind of trying to hold on to this, Brett, until we get to the Odyssey. I'm going to filibuster for another 5 minutes, and I get everybody to go over to Odyssey. I'm trying to a marketing thing here because I really don't want to do this here. But the outcome is pretty strong. Ultimately, Biden has gotten the GOP to back down over the Magnitsky sanctions on the prominent Russians. And Nord Stream 2 is going to go through, and this thing is all over, to be honest with you. So, and if Blinken was the one pushing this, then Blinken's going to be gone soon. So this will be really interesting. Someone is going to have a talk with Zelensky, and it's all going to, we're going to finally get this done. So, yeah. I mean, when I parse what's happened here, it's pretty clear that yesterday's bluff by Biden over, we will cut you off from the SWIFT system if you invade Ukraine. It was the same bluff that the Europeans put in place, threw up back in May or in April, but was never a credible threat. because everybody needs Russian oil. So, and and everybody needs Russian gas. So it's all done. Davos is going to get what they want, which is ultimately they're going to get, but they're not going to get everything they want, because what they really wanted was an iron curtain between the U.S. and between Europe and Russia. And what they're going to wind up with is a releasing of tensions almost completely, and full energy trade. So, all right, I've been right about this all the way down the line. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right, Brett. But I was worried. I didn't think that I was. I didn't. I mean, we sat here and we talked about it, dude. Believe me. I've been sitting here stressing about it for months going, I feel about 60-40 on this, maybe 65-35. I never for a moment thought, that there wasn't a distinct possibility things would spiral out of control. Oh, Colonel McGregor. So Dragon M is in the house, and he says Colonel Doug McGregor was on Tucker that said the U.S. will lose any war against Russia that's on their border. It's a certainty. Finally, some truth. Yeah, no, absolutely. Tucker's been doing good work on this. And somebody else mentioned earlier that he had that he just did an expose on Victoria Nuland. All of this is very good. Okay, I want you to understand that all of this is very, very good. So, yeah. So when we look at that, but we have a couple other things, and so I'm gonna leave here in about 2 minutes. I'm going to give you some idea of what we're going to talk about on Odysee after this. We're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, but we also have to deal with Evergrande and what that means for Bitcoin. And we have to talk about the Chinese, which Dexter and I talked about in a podcast that we published this afternoon, which I think was one of our better chats, a wide-ranging chat on a variety of different things. Because the situation with China and ammonia production, fertilizer exports, and everything else, this is a really big deal. Okay, we have a lot of unfucking of the world economy that has to be done here, and these fucking Davos bastards are not going to go quietly. So unless somebody has finally said to them, okay, look, you're all going to die if you don't stop it. So. Tom, report out that Viagra reduces Alzheimer's by 69%. Care to opine? No idea. I like oranges. Do you skate? So there it is. All right. 365 Club Card says wars was just delayed because the MIC needs money. The MIC is still going to be able to sell some weapons across Europe and whatnot, but ultimately, I think what's going to happen here is that you're going to see NATO deprecated, France take the lead in being the purveyor of military technology across Europe. That's what's coming as they push for a European army. So I actually trust Tucker. No, I don't trust Tucker, but when he puts good information out, he puts good information out. Just because people, I mean, look, every once in a while, real information comes out of CNN. I know it's hard to believe, but there it is. All right. So yeah, let's get clear here. I just finished off my coffee in like 18 minutes, so I need to go get another cup of coffee, and then I'm gonna pop over to and rejigger OBS, and I'll be back on Odysee in about, I don't know, we'll call it 5 minutes, guys, and then we'll do this again. So for those of you who are who are YouTube fanatics, and I did note that we just passed 5,000 people on the YouTube channel today, which is kind of interesting. Pop on over to Odysee and let me get the link into the chat one more time, and we'll go from there. So here's the link. You guys do your thing, and we'll see you over there in just a little bit. All right, you guys take care. You be well. We'll talk soon. Keep your stick on.